provisions that we're talking about became the law of the land very recently. So why is this administration currently trying to do so much to roll back transgender right protections and the like? And these matters could very much be brought before you under the regulatory conception that somehow protecting American citizens is burdensome.
Senator, I think, civil rights and equal protection of the laws are two essential values in our system. And if I were to be confirmed as a judge, I would firmly uphold that.
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Sorry, someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff. So I take people as they come, irrespective of their race, ethnicity, sexual orientation. I treat people as individuals. Those are the values that I grew up with, and those are the values I would apply if confirmed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yo, hold up, stop the tape, wait a minute. Let's talk about this real quick. So, Cory Moist Bookers, you all see everybody's doing videos on YouTube. I ain't even going to talk about what happened because, well, I just go recap. Obviously, you saw what happened on The Breakfast Club. He was asked a direct question about black people and politics and the black agenda. He laughed and did some weird thing, nervous laughter, whatever, meaning I ain't got no answer for you. He was asked a question twice, and Charlemagne, the accused, actually, did his due diligence to ask the question properly. Unfortunately, Roland Martin, the actual journalist, doesn't believe in asking that question because it's too early. But Charlemagne did ask that question. Give him credit for that, I guess. And he gave a bullshit answer, basically saying, no, I don't have a black agenda. Fine. We understand that. We understand what benign neglect is. It is what it is. This isn't the first time a black politician who's a Democrat went on a Breakfast Club and was asked a question about black people, specifically in, Letitia Wallace. I did a video about this. Governor Letitia Wallace, who was asked a question specifically about, black people by Charlemagne, again, the accused, and her response was people of color, brown and black, and all this other bullshit. Basically, she had no answer either. So, it is what it is. But what I find interesting, right, is Cory Moist Boogers didn't have any directly to deal with the black people. He doesn't know what issue. People saying, well, you got to write down your agenda. You got to give it to them. I'm like, yeah, that's true. You do have to do that part. You have to do your due diligence and have the things that you want and make these needs met, negotiate and all that stuff. But what I find interesting is in this 5-minute session of him grilling Trump's nominee pick for the Circuit Court of Appeals, he knew every issue that the gay LBGTXYZ community is dealing with. He broke all that shit down in 5 minutes like, yo, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? He knows that shit by heart, probably because he's one of the members of that community. But still, he didn't have to have somebody bring him an agenda. He already spit the agenda to her, saying, wait a minute, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about this? He knows that they want to go in the bathrooms they don't belong in. He knows they want the government to pay for their surgeries to make them different genders if they're not. He knows that they want to make people bake cakes for them for weddings and whatnot. He knows all that shit. No agenda need to be brought to him. He could break all that shit down for you in 5 minutes. But he was asked a question about black folks and the black agenda, and he went in this big ass long circle, zigzag, and came back around the corner and still didn't answer the goddamn question. Whatever. But we understand benign neglect. We know these black politicians, they not really for you. They just need your vote. But they ain't gonna do shit for you. It is what it is. I'm out. Oh yeah, I'll show you how you grill a politician on black people issues and how heated and real those conversations can get. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to that video of the Letitia Wallace. And comparing the contrast, my man Mace Jackson from Chicago, who grilled Kwame Wahu, the potential Attorney General of Chicago or Illinois, versus what the Breakfast Club did with Letitia Wallace for New York. And compare and get your contrast. And Mays is not a reporter. He's a radio personality just like Charlemagne is. But he knew how to ask the real questions because he lived his politic life. It is what it is. But that's my video. Spartacus, no words for black agendas, but in 5 minutes, he broke down the whole LBGT shit and whew. But again, he's probably part of that community, so that makes sense. He should know all that shit. I mean, but wait, he's black too, ain't he? Or beige or Close enough. I don't know. I'm out.
As you said, of laws that criminalize same-sex relationships.
Well, Senator, those were some comments made in the course of an article about dignity and constitutional law, and of course, Lawrence is a precedent of the Supreme Court, which I would faithfully follow if I were
Are
confirmed.
gay relationships, in your opinion, immoral?
Senator, I'm not sure, the relevance of that to, my
I
personal view
think
on that.
relevant your opinion. If you think African-American relationships are immoral, do you think gay relationships are immoral? Do you personally believe that gay
No,
relations?
I do not.
You do not believe that?
No.
Do you believe they're a sin?
Senator, my personal views on any of these subjects are things I would put to one side, and I would faithfully
So
follow
you're
the
not willing to
President's
say here
directive.
that whether you believe it is sinful for two men to be married? You're not willing to comment on that?
Senator, no.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry?
I didn't hear your response.
My response is that these personal views are ones that I would put to one side. Whatever my personal views are on this subject, I would faithfully follow the precedents of the Supreme Court.
In the 2000, excuse me for interrupting, I have 1 minute left. In 2013 article, you also criticized the Supreme Court's landmark decision in the United States versus Windsor, which struck down the provision of DOMA that defined marriage as only between a man and a woman. You said the court had found, quote, a novel constitutional right of two people's freedom to marry and to recognize same-sex marriages. And you said that the court's decision amounted to a political choice, not a judicial choice. What do you believe the Supreme Court's decision to respect the status of a same-sex marriage, how was that a political choice and not a judicial one?
Well, Senator, in that particular article, what I was saying is that in the case in Windsor, did not recognize same-sex marriage as a right. It only recognized the right to have your marriage recognized if the state provided such a marriage. Of course, that later step was taken in Obergefell, but Windsor, part of what I was explaining was that it was a rather empty right that was in that case.
And LGBTQ Americans have faced a long history of discrimination, long histories of violence, intimidation, bullying. Young LGBTQ youth in America report not going to school because of fear for their own safety at rates that are unconscionable. And a lot of the hard-won provisions that we're talking about became the law of the land very recently. So why is this administration currently trying to do so much to roll back transgender right protections and the like? And these matters could very much be brought before you under the regulatory conception that somehow protecting American citizens is burdensome.
Senator, I think, civil rights and equal protection of the laws are two essential values in our system. And if I were to be confirmed as a judge, I would firmly uphold that.
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Sorry, someone working for you.
To be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff. So I take people as they come, irrespective of their race, ethnicity, sexual orientation. I treat people as individuals. Those are the values that I grew up with, and those are the values I would apply if confirmed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.